We must begin this episode by thanking you most sincerely for finding time to spend with us on today's episode of Tax Matters. My name is Olumuyiwa Matuloko, and with me on the episode is Christina Pius.
Hello, viewers.
Today on the program, we are returning to our series in which we are interacting with business owners. What are we trying to achieve? We are trying to find out from business owners what they know to be their obligations under the various tax laws operative in Nigeria. We'll also be giving room to tax administrators to fill in the gaps, to react to matters arising. On this particular episode, we have as guests Mrs. Fayo Williams, an entrepreneur, and Mr. Niyi Orebaju of the FIRS.
My name is Fayo Williams. I'm the Executive Director of Reliance Supply Limited, a company that is into the supplies of health and safety products as well as some training.
Okay. In that line of business, what do you know to be your obligations under the tax laws?
I do know that personally, I have to pay my income tax, the one I believe you referred to as PIT. Yeah. Then the company has this company income tax, the CIT, and I know there's an education tax as well that we have to pay. And from time to time, when we organize trainings, we are asked to pay VAT, which is the value added tax. I also know that we make deductions from our staff every month, and we remit that on the bill of the payee.
You spoke about when you organize trainings, you charge VAT. What about when you make supplies?
Now, when we make supplies, we are actually registered under Section 12 of the Act. And this is another challenge we have. Some people even believe it's a joke that how could you be registered under Section 12 whereby you're selling medical equipment and drugs and therefore you are not vatable. Sorry, our own system does not recognize that. And we tell them that this must have been for a reason. It was a government policy. And I believe we should allow the end user to enjoy this, So these are some of the challenges we have, and we do hope that the authorities would listen and help us to, give more enlightenment so that the downtrodden, the masses, can really enjoy, access to good quality medicaments and healthcare services, healthcare equipment, without having to pay that, value-added tax, because the natural thing will be to pass it to the consumer.
No, but who is taking VAT from you? I mean, obviously, you are not taking from your customers, from the consumers, because the law allows that. Even as at this point in time, that is the position of the law. So who is collecting from you?
I remember participating in a tender in one of the states, and there was this insistence that, sorry, with all these drugs quoted, you just must charge VAT because it was going to be deducted, and definitely, we had this, stalemate about it because being registered under Section 12, we have been sternly told that you should not add VAT. So there was this disjoint, and we couldn't really succeed with that tender.
We're going to leave the experts to react to the comments that you made about VAT. But at our own level here, permit us to say that when you got involved in that tender with the state authority, in actual fact, if they insisted on VAT, they are the ones paying. You are not the one paying. That is what a lot of people don't know. If the total cost of your supplies was to be like 100,000 naira, 5,000 naira VAT will make it 105,000. Is to be paid by the state. So if they insist that you add VAT, yes, go ahead and do. They are the ones paying. Okay, so you pay company's income tax, you pay personal income tax for yourself and for your staff, you charge VAT and all that. Do you deal directly with the tax authorities or do you use go-betweens?
Well, we use go-betweens because like I said, this is an area that's a little gray. You know, it's not quite clear to us, you know, so much, and we use a go-between. I have had cause to visit on my own sometimes. Sometimes there's delay in getting out our tax clearance certificate. Sometimes we're even told, you are paying too little now. I mean, go and make more money and pay more. Well, I wish. I really wish. But there needs to be better understanding of what the SME environment is. You see, on one hand, the government is doing so much in terms of policy, in terms of allocating this micro, small, medium development fund, the 220 billion, you know, to help grow SMEs. We have agencies like SMEDAN and others who are trying to build capacity. But a lot of these SMEs run into challenges when it comes to the taxation issue. And because of that, they are not able to play. For instance, in the Bureau of Public Procurement, you know as well as I do, that all these tax certificates and the PENCOM payment and Employees Compensation Act, and then we have a levy we have to pay to ITF, and all this long list of levies, they are being asked for. So I would like to suggest that we need to have a roundtable discussion. You know, if we have 17 million SMEs in this country, if each of these SMEs is really encouraged to grow and even just get about 2 more new staff, that is creating over 30 million jobs. So we need to really put our money where our mouth is and ensure that in the SME space, there are no more hindrances, there are no more hurdles, and there is no more high jump for us to scale in order to be able to thrive and grow. So a situation whereby we are being charged 30% of our profit, you know, as tax, and the big multinationals and the IOCs and the public quoted companies are also charged this same 30%. Where is this equity? Where is it? We need to really, you know, stratify and categorize so that we can have better compliance. And there's one issue which I also think comes into play here. I know of certain companies quoted on the stock exchange who pay out virtually all profit as dividend. And you see a lot of this money going back to home countries. If you study SMEs, you will find out that they always have a lot of retained profit. And you see, these are the engines that are really building the country, contributing to economic development, contributing to job creation. And I believe that some kind of, you know, kind-hearted gesture should be extended towards the SME. Yes, we know that the government needs this IGR, the internally generated revenue, in order to also give us the dividends, you know, of the democracy and, you know, all. But there should be some balance. There should be some consideration so that we have a category of companies that don't have to, you know, pay that much, so that the retained profits can be used in technology, can be used in absorbing more staff, you know, and better expanding the business.
Again, like I said earlier, we will allow the tax administrators to respond to some of these things that we have spoken about, because we know that at a point in time, the rate of company's income tax for small companies was lower. It's still in the law, it's 20%, but I think inflation caught up with it, because at that time they were talking about companies with turnover below 1 million naira. That's a joke now, you know, but it means that the government still has to look at it. Ordinarily, how do you get yourself acquainted with what is required of you? How do you get information on taxation and on taxes?
Once again, I did mention that at the level of our entrepreneurial group, we make it a duty to invite not only the tax authorities, even corporate affairs commission and regulatory agencies like NAFDAC, agencies that can help us to access markets like the NEPC, Nigerian Export Promotion Council. We engage them on a regular basis.
So when you invite the tax authorities like the FRS, they respond?
They respond
readily?
They set up a desk. They inform us. For instance, it was from the tax authorities that I learned that the withholding tax that is being paid on our, that is being deducted from a lot of our receivables, we should actually be adding this up together and really deducting it from some of our tax liabilities. But the other challenge is you ask the client, can I have the receipt? And they tell you, oh, we haven't collected it yet. Here is an SME, maybe operating with 5 staff, 10 staff. How many people are you going to keep on sending back and forth? So if there is any central, depository, where we can also have access to get this information, such credits to our own tax liability is known, there should be less secrecy, more transparency, so that we can actually comply and feel good at doing so at the same time.
Again, we'll leave that to the tax administrators, but we do know that with the initiative that has just been put in place, in fact, not just now, for about a year now, what we've been trying to achieve is a situation where with your TIN number, once withholding tax is withheld from sums due to you, it is automatically credited to your own account. So at the end of the financial year, when you are filing your reports, you already know what you have, because indeed that money is just an advance payment. It's your money. Things are getting better, we assure you. What would you like done differently in tax administration to make it easier for you to comply?
Thank you. What I would like done differently, I would just recap. Number one, in terms of policy, particularly for SMEs, there is a very cogent need to review this amount being paid. I think there was some other initiative to under SMEDAN. We would like to see, to see that really come out and become part of the law. Then secondly, I would like us, not to have to do returns monthly. For instance, an SME doesn't have that many staff, and this is quite a burden, to get someone or to pay someone, to make this kind of returns monthly.
Returns.
Yes, we need to make it easier. If it can be done online, like we have a lot of national exams being done online. So if that can be done, then we should also have tax administration in an easier manner, just like you have in developed countries, and everybody knows by so-so date, everybody's racing to the internet to make certain returns. We need to give tax a human face. We need to give it more of a human face. We need to make compliance easier. We need to make sure it has rewards, make it pleasurable, and we need to realize that it's only when we make these SMEs competitive that they can, really do their best to, for instance, we're talking about increasing non-oil exports. We all know what effect the devaluation of the Naira and this falling oil prices has brought into the economic landscape. So we should be here encouraging the SME tigers, so to say, to rise to the occasion, make their handmade shoes, bags, and they need to be incorporated for them to export, to go under initiatives like the AGOA, the African Growth and Opportunities Act, to tap into all those schemes. They need to be registered and they need their tax certifications. So we need to give tax a human face, and I'll be proposing 15% or even 10% for SMEs.
For SMEs.
Oh yes, we can start at 10 for SMEs, because that retained profit would help them to buy equipment. It would help them to utilize technology in order to grow. And then there's this perception, which I would probably close with. In the tax office, they believe your tax must always go up. But let us ask ourselves, what really is the reality? Businesses fluctuate. At times you go up, at times you go down. So why must it be that the taxman, we appreciate the prayers that the taxman has for we, the consumers, the clients, but in reality and honestly, your turnover doesn't always go up. And that provision has to be made even in the law. And possibly that may just be it for me.
To get clarifications on some of the issues raised by Mrs. Williams, we spoke with Mr. Niyo Rebajo, the Regional Coordinator, Lagos Mainland West Region of the Federal Revenue Service.
What incentives do you have in the tax law for SMEs?
Yeah, basically they have the same incentives as all companies, like capital allowances and all such incentives that normal companies have. The additional incentive they have is also a tax rate on their total profits, which is 20% of every naira of total profits. Other companies pay 30% of every naira of total profits. But when you look at it, that law was actually promulgated many years ago. And the benchmark then for an SME, for those in trade and business, was 500,000 naira. And for those in production, mining, and agribusiness, is 1 million naira. And when you look at it with the value of money today, it might seem that virtually all SMEs are cut off. I want to believe that petty traders do business of more than 1 million naira, even in today's money. So it is there, but they may not be able to benefit from it.
You just said something, they may not be able to benefit from it. Is there a way?
Yeah, the way they can benefit is if the government amends that law by increasing the turnover threshold. That is the easiest way they can benefit from it.
So what's stopping you?
Now, we implement the tax laws. We don't pass the tax laws. But I know from FRS point of view, we at times do suggest, and I know on many fora it has been mentioned that the law is a bit inadequate in that respect in taking care of the interests of taxpayers.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, waiting with this.
The deduction now for withholding tax.
Withholding guinea. Look, if you not pay me my correct money today, hey, Munu get made you half for.
But madam, should be your company paying income tax.
Yes, that one na enough load for me to carry. Why you won't come add join am again?
You see, withholding tax now advance payment for income tax. So when you do some kind job, like contract, we go remove small from them when we won't pay you.
I don't go contract am up. No. I bet tell me another.
No. We must pay the money to FIRS within 30 days, and they go give us withholding tax credit note to take show say you don't pay part of your income tax in advance.
So?
Now to help make the money where you go pay at the end of the year small.
So this withholding tax something, it be like part payment of no.
Exactly, madam.
I beg you. Give me my check.
Remember, come collect your credit note.
Withholding tax, now for we own good. FIRS, it pays to pay your tax.
On the ease of acquiring withholding tax credit notes, taxpayers have always complained about it. It's an issue. What's the way forward?
Yeah, let me just be a little bit historical. When I joined the service, the practice was, if you want to claim your withholding tax credit notes, and you bring your documents to the tax office, that office will write the office that issued those documents to confirm those notes, the authenticity, because we used to see a lot of forged credit notes. But some people sat up in Inland Revenue and said, look, we are not being fair to taxpayers. Why do we need to confirm something that our office had already written? Why don't we accept this thing? When they bring it, let us accept it and use it. If we now discover that, yes, the company brought forged withholding tax credit notes. It's an opportunity for us to now invite the MD of that company to tell us where he got his documents, which is a better way of rendering service to the taxpayer. I think in January 2007, there was a meeting in Jos where it was unanimously decided that we should do that, and we were doing that. Even though I know in some cases there might be exuberance on the part of some officials, but that was actually the policy. Then Inland Revenue now went a step further. In the past 1 year or more, because now most of our operations are now automated. Okay. Like the receipting, the printing of receipts, payments, everything is automated. So what do? In our offices, we can actually see withholding taxes that have been deducted and have been remitted to us by any office within FRS. So on your table, when a company comes and makes a claim, you can actually see and confirm. So what we do is that we use what we now see. So it has even reduced a lot of the backups that we had, because we had cases of even we write withholding tax credit notes, and the companies that are to collect them on behalf of their customers do not come to collect them. But now they are in the system, so we use them automatically. And we are going a step forward. I want to believe that by this time next year, it is the automation that we even set off, that we set it off in the system itself. So the companies may not even need to claim. The system will claim it on their behalf. So what the system will be showing is what the net that they have to pay. So we are improving constantly. In fact, I have seen cases of taxpayers who, well, let me put it this way, disappeared from the system for 2 or 3 years, and they came back to process their tax transactions, and they were wonderfully surprised that this was not happening before. We are now coming and you are telling me you can see my withholding taxes that have been deducted in another state some months ago, some years ago. We have the capacity now to see up to 6 years back all the withholding taxes that have been deducted.
Now, we know for a fact that pharmaceutical products are not vatable.
Sure, they are not.
Now, manufacturers complain that when they are importing the raw materials to be used, they pay VAT at the port. Okay. How are they going to recover their input VAT?
Their costs are already recovered. Now, what is VAT? VAT is value added tax. It is the tax you put on the value created on transforming a product from one thing to another. Now they bring in their raw materials. They must necessarily pay VAT at the ports. If it is finished products now, like drugs, finished drugs, VAT will not be paid at the ports because it is already under the exclusive VAT list. Now, raw materials for drug production can be used also for a lot of other things. What does the company do for redress? It is already there that the cost of their raw materials is part of the cost of production. So if you import drugs, raw materials of 100 naira, or which you have paid VAT of 5 naira at the ports, you are putting 105 naira into your computation of companies' income taxes, which is allowed to go. So you've already taken care of. So you don't need to claim any additional money because the 5 naira has been offset as a cost.
Oh, okay. So you just add it to.
So if you sell your products, your costs of imported materials, you take care of them in your profit and loss accounts. So it's gone.
Okay. We thank you very much, sir, for welcoming us into your office and answering these questions.
Thank you, Christy.
And we hope that when we call on you again, you would answer us.
Yes, I will show you.
We do hope that once again, we have been able to contribute our own quota towards bringing you up to speed as to the workings of the Nigerian tax system. From Christina,
thank you for watching. See you next week.
Have a good week ahead.